We all met you when you were not here through an episode 8 that we did with Patty Hall. We did Patty
I
Hall
watched that. That was a great episode.
on one-on-one with Patty Hall, on one-on-one with TJK. This is the channel I started basically to give back to the community that has given me everything I'm doing. And the purpose is really to learn and relearn things. You and I are both CEOs. You and I are both founders. We've run organizations. People come to us all the time and say, how do I do this? How did it happen for you? And I think some of the children in Uganda and the young people just look at Jackson and think God created Jackson, dropped him in this world to make
Yeah.
And so this channel started to share information freely, to encourage others, to learn from each other, and learn some things also, but also relearn others as we continue to serve. I also know, as a prerequisite, I will say this, as a man of faith, you serve as a servant. I know this is something, service is something we talked about, service above self, but as always, I always say to people, I talk too much, and here I am. I haven't even introduced our guest on TJK one-on-one this week. James Harrington, CEO and founder of Uganda Water Project. James and I met many years ago at Opportunity Collaboration. This theme keeps coming over and over. We have another third brother, so we are triplets, who is not here, Laddie.
We are.
Coming, he might not come in, but whether he comes in or not, he's here with us. So today we are going to have a conversation. First, please, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself. I don't go reading your whole LinkedIn and amazing things you are doing, but please tell people who you are, what you do every day for purposes of those who are thinking, oh, Jackson just gathers his friends to have these conversations. I bring accomplished people who have done something in this world and who you can learn something from. So listen to James.
Yeah. Well, good morning, Jackson. It is great to see you. And yeah, it is amazing how we make connections, and sometimes out of those connections, real, genuine friendships really are born. And I'm so grateful that we share the friendship we have. It takes generosity apart of us both committing into that friendship, and it is so personally meaningful, but also professionally we've really stood with each other and helped one another. So yeah, about 15 years ago, I met a man from Uganda here in Western New York, and he was here for a conference, and out of that conversation found out he was a man who was trained as a pastor and also trained as a teacher. He started churches, he started schools, and just out of that one conversation, he shared that the biggest challenge he faces is looking at congregations and classrooms where people are sick, they're thirsty, they're hungry, and all of the education and experience he has to cultivate the mind and inspire the spirit doesn't equip him to address those practical needs. And it really captivated my heart. And so out of that, I began to just learn more about Uganda. I was curious. I'd learned more about this, especially the part about water, like people are thirsty. And it was about a year after meeting him that I'd raised some money with some friends, and me and a couple of other friends went over to Uganda and actually saw the first 2 rainwater systems installed on community churches. That's where we started, was rainwater systems. Yeah. And just realized even at this little church on Walakabu Road in outside of Jinja, that water wasn't just the impact on health that I thought it was. I mean, that was true, but it was so much more, that it really, it's like you have a key and you realize all of a sudden that key doesn't just open one door. Yes. That key opens up, it doesn't just open up health. You're like, oh, this is a master key. Like, this opens economic development, opportunity for women and girls, healthcare, education. And I realized in that moment, I'm like, oh, this is something I can really put my put my best effort into and passion. And so since then, we've continued to grow and learn. We started out not knowing much. I didn't know much about the water crisis. I didn't know much about international development. I didn't even know much about fundraising. But I'll tell you, I'm so excited to be able to look now and see that now we have an organization that we have about 50 on staff. Most of them are Ugandan, as I call them, professional Ugandans. I'm an amateur Ugandan. It's in my heart, but I submit to the professional Ugandans like yourself. We have about 40 on staff in Uganda, and then about 8 to 10 here in the US. And the scope of our work now has gone beyond just water access today. We still passionately love bringing water access today through rainwater systems and hand pump wells, we call them boreholes, solar pumping systems, things like that. But now we've gone beyond water access today to also doing sustainability. We have a maintenance program that addresses water sustainability tomorrow. And then above that, we also engage now, we partner very deeply with district and national government to help address policy, standard, systems change that addresses water security forever. So we have this today, tomorrow, forever model to help continue to really overcome the water crisis, because we always say we're not in the water business.
Yes,
we're in the freedom and transformation business, and our tools are around water, but the business we're in is about seeing people set free from the bondage of waterborne disease and water-related poverty, so that they can live the lives they were created for. And so that's where we came from. That's where we've been, and now we're still considered a small organization, but I'll tell you, we're having a really big footprint, a really big impact, and we just love it.
Whoa, James. I always tell my young people who are listening that when people are talking, I'm taking notes.
Yeah.
I prepared my questions to ask our visitor here, James. I asked him one question and he covered near everything I wanted to ask him. So when I say we are brothers, the young man who is sitting in Kanungu village is going to look at this picture and see this Ugandan man from Nyaka village. He knows me, he knows my father, and is going to start wondering, did Mr. Kaguri go to New York and father another child who came out looking white? Ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about brotherhood, we're not talking about blood bondage or brotherhood.
No.
We're talking about the philosophical, spiritual, friend connection that goes sometimes beyond blood. And James has been a true brother, and you can see, I say I talk too much. We brothers in this connection of three people do have our thing we are passionate about, we talk about. So to recap for some of us, one reason I recap this, James, we have so many people from Uganda who are going to listen, and I know your staff members, 50, will also listen, and I want to make sure I break down some of the pieces you talked about. Number one,
let's go into it.
Understand your accent, believe it or not, for American listeners, you have an accent to us, just like we have an accent to you. And number two, I want to make sure I hit these points so people completely gets what we are talking about here, which is why we are talking about relearning. James Harrington, as a man, just said to us, 15 years ago, he met somebody. At that point, you had never been to Uganda. That's right?
I wasn't even sure where Uganda was in the world. So I was pretty sure I knew what continent it was on. I was pretty sure. I'm like, oh yeah, it's not South America. That's a different one. I knew it was in Africa, but that was it. I knew nothing about it.
So you and I need to now go back and look for a man called Forrest Whitaker, because, ladies and gentlemen, Forrest Whitaker acted in a movie, Last King of Scotland. The man who was Last King of Scotland was confused on what he wanted to do, and he went on a globe, on a map, and just boom. So this holiday season, for all of you who are listening to us around the world, you are looking for something to get involved in. Do not worry about searching the internet. Pull out that map.
Right.
Drop a pin on it. I can bet you, James and I will both bet you land on Uganda. And then you go to Uganda Water Project website, you go to Nyaka website, you go on any passionate thing you want to do, you'll find it there. That's a joke. But don't wait to research and pile books. Sometimes opportunities will find you where you are. That's one lesson I want our young people to really get. 15 years ago, this happened. You also said something I want everybody listening to understand and go deeper. At that time, the challenges of water in Uganda were there. They are still there. You started a rainwater system outside Jinja in a small place, but this is the point I want to reemphasize. At that time, James didn't know international development, didn't know fundraising, didn't know leadership in a non-profit. Here we are in 2022, ladies and gentlemen. Full disclosure, I do serve on Uganda Water Board of Directors. James has raised so much money and has transformed so many different schools, communities, and has launched not only what is it called?
Ugandan Water Project.
Ugandan Water Project, the business side of Uganda Water Project.
Aqua Trust.
Aqua Trust, which we'll talk about later. Don't start saying I'm on the board and I couldn't remember the thing. I know the thing. He said it. He's the CEO. He remembers everything. But the point I wanted to reemphasize is now he's working on policy standards of water, working with the government of Uganda, working with the ministry, working with the churches and schools. Remember, 15 years ago, he didn't know anything.
Nothing.
Here is the lesson. Any of us can do what we do. God has given you talent, and your talent is within you. Just open the door and say, where do I serve? And he will lead you to learn fundraising, to learn leadership, to get the best board you want, to employ 50 staff members, majority who are Ugandans. And he has introduced us to new terms, my fellow Ugandans, professional Ugandans and amateur Ugandans. Now,
that's right.
My American friends and people around the world, once in a while, we say the truth on this channel too. You will meet somebody who has gone from a college and visited Uganda once.
Yeah, stayed at Sheraton Hotel.
And serve somewhere to help chimpanzees with Uganda wildlife community. When they come back to United States, you have a conversation with them and they will act like professional Ugandans because they didn't stop it. I've lived in America for 27 years. I'm not a professional American. I still don't like pizza as food. I still do not enjoy sandwiches as food. I'm a professional Ugandan, born, raised. Do not start claiming other people's countries as if you're an expert when you don't know anything. That's for our outside world. But for you Ugandans, do not shy away from standing your ground and educate people who are coming in, because when you don't, they go away with assumptions. It's both ways. This is a conversation we are going to talk about and continue to talk about the colonization of philanthropy. When people hear the word decolonization of philanthropy, they are thinking white people need to be decolonized. Some do, yes. But also we Ugandans and people on the continent need to decolonize ourselves. When James comes in and is going to build a water project and says, oh, my idea is put it right there in front of that building. It's up to you as a person in Ghana who will say, my grandfather is actually buried there. We can't put there a water project. Otherwise, it's offensive to our community. If you keep quiet, Because James is white, do you think he has money to do it? And he put there a water project. Then tomorrow don't start saying, oh, white people came and put water project. You didn't say nothing. Girls who are listening to me, young girls, stop breaching yourselves because you want to look like the model you saw in New York. God created you with your color, with your hair. Embrace it, love it. This is not why we are here.
Yeah.
Now I'm preaching to someone.
No, but it's so true, Jackson. I mean, the reality is,
Yes.
you know, in our organization, the way we talk about it is we call it the principle of mutual submission, where we recognize that we each have things to submit to in one another. And it happens at individual levels. I mean, that's part of our friendship, right? In our friendship, we are vulnerable and open and generous with each other. And so we learn to submit to and trust one another with things. And then organizationally, we have two offices, and we recognize that each of the cultures that are part of this organization have different things to benefit one another and different strengths. And we learn to submit to one another in those areas. But there's an overarching thing to recognize. We are serving Uganda. And so the ultimate submission is going to be to the country, the culture, and the people of Uganda. And so that has to be part of how we approach things. And oftentimes I'm saying to our staff, you know, you have a million things about your country that you have a responsibility to bring to the front, because at best, I'm a half-blind man. You know, that's just the reality. Like, there's no way to get beyond the limitation I have. And so the only way I can know these things and learn is to make sure that our professional Ugandans are really advocating for that, you know, and so, you know, it's very important. And I always say, you know, I've learned a lot about Uganda, but I am not the expert.
Again, we are learning, relearning, and learning, or in one composition. I like also something you said in your opening, that you are here today, tomorrow, and forever. That's the model of Uganda Water Project. And you are setting people free from bondage, lack of water, diseases, the whole holistic approach of water provision. When we speak of water, those of us who have it in our houses, we take it for granted. I've said this in the party when I did in episode 8. I tell young people all the time that the water that is in the toilet right here in my office, 7 liters of water in a toilet tank is clean, drinkable water. But when people are still out there without clean water. If you count how many each minute Americans, Canadians, England. No, let's talk about World Cup, which is happening right now. You count how many each minute people flush at that stadium and how much water is going down the drain. You would be amazed. And if people were thinking, would give more money to build water systems around the world so other people can have money. Or I know you are going to talk about this later, the drops we can put in. But on this channel also, we promise young people that we will ask every person I talk to what advice they would give their younger selves. You are in New York, Rochester. Nicholas, my oldest. Nicholas is
That's right.
All 4 children are mentioned in all of these interviews because I'm so proud of them. Nicholas, the oldest, is at RIT, Rochester Institute of Technology, right next to where James is doing this. And James was telling me he has a fundraiser. RIT students, go volunteer, talk to Nicholas Kaguri, look him up, and go volunteer, give money, $5. Instead of going to my videos on Friday, go to this event, listen to good music, and give $5. Nicholas, I'm going to send you a message to go. But give advice to young people, 18 to 20. What advice would you give yourself if you were in that age group, knowing what you know now?
I would say that the greatest benefit in my life are the relationships to mentors and to peers that challenge me in a good way. And so I made it a habit, but I would have loved to have made it a more intentional habit sooner to have the courage to network up sooner, because people talk about it, hey, it's all who you know. There's truth to that. We learn relationally. We don't go through life just on information. We go through life in formation. And so the relationships that are in our life really have the strongest impact on us. And so I would have said to younger James, hey, be more intentional to expand your network and really have the courage to talk to the people that inspire you, and the people in your life that challenge you towards growth. For me, that has been the most valuable part of my adult life, is the relationships I prioritize. I mean, Jackson, you're an example of that. I mean, we talk about the triplets, right? The three musketeers, you, yes, myself, and our friend Lottie, and we live great distances apart. You're in Michigan, I'm in New York, you work in Uganda, so do I, but Lottie's in Slovakia. But we prioritize trying to find time to get together. And it's because of the value of those relationships. So that's my advice. Network up, network intentionally, network authentically, but do it sooner rather than later. Those relationships will change your life.
Very good. I think those do not need to be repeated. You nail it right there. I have told young people who you met, some of them who have graduated from Yaka, that the friendships you make in elementary school, secondary school, sometimes will be the relationship will last you a long life. But because also you learn how to do those relationships, you will be better off to make more in the future because you already have a foundation. If you're a kid who cannot speak to anybody, who cannot pray with anybody, and you become an adult, you go in the basement, you might be a Facebook owner, but we are encouraging you to have relationships, to network, but be open to be challenged. Many times we try to shy away from people who challenge us because it is difficult. I like our Trinity. I call it Trinity. I say the triplets area. You have Slovakia, Ladi. You have James in New York. You have Jackson in Michigan. James is going to, and the next question I'm going to ask him is going to go into his life deeper, tell us about his wife and his children and how he grew up. But this Trinity, ladies and gentlemen, openly, I can tell you that Ladi is in Slovakia, unless he got married last night. He's a single man living in Slovakia. James is a married man of 21, 22 years, married with
25.
25, see? 25 years married. I met the wife, I met the children in New York. Here I am in Michigan, divorced twice, with 4 children and living here. When we meet and when we speak, we don't shy away from challenging each other, from building each other, from encouraging each other. I am not going to shy away from talking about therapy with James because I know therapy helps me. I know it helps him. We even joke about it. When we were in Slovakia, visiting Ladi, we went on the rooftop and we were talking about death, and Ladi goes, oh my goodness, we might end up at each other's funeral. And I told Ladi that in Uganda culture, you die, you've not had a child, we'll bury you with a banana plant. So I said, we started talking. I said, can you imagine carrying a banana plant from Uganda? They are trying to clear customs in Austria. What's the banana for? So Ladi, my friend, here we are, we love you, we challenge each other, we love each other. I'm saying this to our young listeners, but also people who might wonder, how does Jackson go through all these trials and tribulations or make the mistakes he has made in life and still get on YouTube and is smiling and talking about this? Number one, have faith in God. But 2, I surround myself with positive people who love me, but also challenge me, and who advise me to go. Challenges are not going to kill you, and don't allow them to put you in a place you don't want to be just because you've challenged. So that's a great lesson here. James, tell us about your childhood.
Yeah, so I was born at
15 years ago, you met a Ugandan man, changed your life, you got passion, what you do. But there must be also something behind all your childhood, your amazing wife, and who've been 25 years. Give our young people advice how to do this. Give us advice openly how to do this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Come with it. And
well, one of the things I was born into a family that also suffered from divorce, and so my parents split up when I was young, and that was a really difficult time because the things that you usually seek stability from, I didn't have, and so it taught me to really, that was a big part of why I embraced faith so early, in a very personal way. Was I realized I needed that stability in the relationship with God. And but both my parents were very loving, and even though they had challenges, I never doubted they loved me. Eventually, my father remarried, and I became part of a much bigger family. I'm now number 2. I'm the oldest son. I'm number 2 in birth order of 10 kids, and in fact, many of my only. In fact, yes, in Uganda, it's one of those things where there's a good connection point. There's a lot of celebration of family in Uganda, and so when me Mzungu says I'm number 2 of 10 kids, they're like, finally an American family that understands how to really do it right. But big family, and we were, we never skipped a meal, but we didn't have a lot, and we had to learn how to rely on hard work and ourselves, and so that was a real big part of growing up, is problem solving and figuring out how to face challenges that other people pay for, right? That we can't pay for, and so we have to figure it out. And we learned to really value that self-reliance. And then years later, I did go to college, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but I liked this idea of international work. I wasn't sure how that would come about. But I went to college, and that's where I met my wife, and we got married just after college and started a family. And now my wife, Christy, we've been married 25 years. And I will say it's not an easy thing to do, to be married and stay married, but it is good. It's hard. Sometimes it feels easy, and you have great seasons where that's great, and other times the good is found in the day-to-day decisions to lay yourself down and serve one another and grow and overcome challenges. And we have three kids. Our children we have daughters, and they're ranging from 16 to almost 24 now, and that's been a great challenge and love of my life, of being a father. That really challenges you, and yeah, so it's been a good life. And I will say, like, one of the things that has woven through it all is I've always been an entrepreneurial person, so not afraid to try something. I'm not afraid of failure. You talked about challenging in relationships. I learned in my teenage years that power is protected by problems, and I don't mean problems like bad things. I mean problems like a math problem, right? Like, challenges often protect power and influence. And if you're willing to embrace the hard work in life, what's on the other side of that is strength and influence and power. And not power over people, but power to do things in life. And so I realized that, doing hard things in life, whether it's hard relationships or taking on hard problems like the water crisis, if you're willing to submit to that, just like exercise, on the other side of those problems is a powerful impact in the world.
Wow. Are you sure you don't have a title of Pastor James Harrington?
It's been said a couple of times. I always correct. I'm like, no, I'm not Musumba. I'm not the
Yeah,
pastor.
well, you're not Musumba. You're not Musumba James Harrington. Man, I admire what you said, and I'm going to start it from the vulnerable side of things. What you said about parents divorced when you are younger, and so you didn't get stability. And I think what we divorced parents go through is that struggle to provide stability, whether it is reading that book every night to the child, whether it is taking them fishing, when it is not your turn to have children. And this reminds me what my mom used to tell me. As much stuff she went through, she kept saying to me, I don't want you to come home and I'm not here. And I'm not saying if you are being abused and beaten, stay in a relationship or because of that. No, but you also went and said your parents both were loving. They stayed in your life and you embraced faith at an early age. You found a father in God, our Father in heaven, and embraced it. That didn't take away the challenges, but it has helped you to go through, and your hard work. Dad remarried, you became second born instead of first born, and 10 children, man, in an American society, that is big. That's a big fan.
Yeah.
The reason I said Henry, James says that everybody he meets. The person will say, we are 24 children, and he goes, Henry. So it's a joke that goes around.
Yeah.
Is Christine, your wife, your best friend?
Christy, yeah, she is. Christy is my best friend, and how do you define best, right? Best is the one who knows.
Friend, at least a friend you confide in each other. She comes, yes.
Yeah.
Because
and I think the friendship is the strongest part of our relationship, right? Like, oftentimes when we're young, we think about the chemistry. We think about, we get we feel the attraction, and that's an important part as well. But in the long run, it's the strength of your friendship, of our friendship, that really has made the most impact on our lives and builds the strongest part of our relationship.
I asked that question because I have a team member on TJK. He will remain unnamed. He told me to name him, but I'm not yet ready to name him. Who said I must do an episode on dating? This young man is surrounded with beautiful girls from the same village. They are all on campus. He posted one of them, and I said, oh, are you dating? He said, oh, no, I'm scared. If I say, let's date, our friendship might die. But I told him it is actually opposite. If you're already friends, that's the best thing you can do, because if you end up with a friend, regardless what happens in your relationship, you will always be friends. Things will come, you always be friends. And I didn't want to go deep into others, but I told him, we'll get a relationship expert. We will do an episode on dating. We will combine it between American culture, but also the Ugandan culture. Bring the Ugandan context, and we will invite you to bring your example, and he's willing to do that. Your 3 daughters are very wonderful, well-behaved, kind, God-fearing girls. I've met them. You are doing a very, very good job. Embrace challenges, just like Job was tested. I tell you, my brother, God chose you, put you there, regardless of the challenges. You have mentored, and you talked about mentorship and having great relationships moving forward. You manage 50 people across. You deal with board members of different characters, of different backgrounds, including me. So talk a little bit now about management, your management style, management of resources, stewarding what people have entrusted you to do with. This goes into accountability, transparency, but also managing people on 2 different continents who are from different cultures. I know you and I have that same challenge. I manage people in Uganda. You manage people in USA. You manage people in Uganda and USA. part of our meeting and staying even closer to each other was when we were doing those breakfasts at Opportunity College, bringing practitioners. I think some of the big funders like Imago Days and Single Family Foundation actually needed to fund us to teach people how to do that, how to run an organization on the continent of Africa side by side with an organization here in the United States. Nyaka now is UK, Canada, USA, Uganda. Not a boy who was born in a tiny village and shared to now organization. You born, raised in a tiny place in New York. James didn't want to use the word poverty, but he said, we never lacked what to eat. But when you take it to the American standard of poverty, he grew up in poverty.
Yeah, because I will say we never...
but not compared to where he grew up. So these things also, when we use words, ladies and gentlemen, we need to define them. What does poor mean in Nyaka village? And what does it mean in Kampala? What does it mean in New York? People here drive a car out of necessity. You cannot drive in a blizzard to go work in New York, Toronto. So you must have a car. When I am in Uganda, in my village, I don't even have to wear a shirt. I can wear a t-shirt and walk 100 miles every single day because the weather is not an issue. So these contexts also come in. But tell us about your management style, about your teams, how they work with each other. How do you make sure you're all on the same bandwidth? And how do you recruit even team members that fit within the cycle of your organization culture? We are work now.
Yeah, I will say that the at the heart of it is values, value alignment. In fact, in our work, there are some of our roles which require very specific skills, and so it's good to have skills, but I learned along the way that skills amplify values, and so you can teach people skills, and you can help to refine values, but oftentimes you have to identify shared values in the people that you want to build with, the people you want to employ. And so, like right now, we're hiring in US, we're hiring in Uganda. And while, yes, we write job descriptions that are focused on skills, when we're out there looking, we talk all about how do we identify the right values, because if you have great skills, but your values are misaligned, those skills it's like a radio tower. It broadcasts your values. And if your skills are strong, it's a strong broadcast. But if the values of the person that you're hiring aren't the same as the organization, then they're broadcasting a different signal than you want. And so we always focus a lot first on the connection and the values. Because those are the ingredients that help us build a relationship of trust. So the other thing that I find is that trust and transparency really builds strong relationships. And so I really look for ways to really extend real responsibility, real authority to people, and then demonstrate the willingness to trust them to make decisions. And by doing that, we build really strong connections. So for instance, we exercise a lot of financial trust. And that's a real simple way that every person in the organization has some degree of financial trust, meaning they have the ability to spend resources within their work. And yes, we have checks and balances for accountability, but there are organizations, I find, international organizations, where only a few people ever handle cash or ever make a purchasing decision of any kind. And I won't criticize them, but I will say what I found is finding ways to extend trust as far down the food chain as possible builds a really vibrant community where we are very aligned and people feel trusted.
Exactly.
And they'll respond in like to that. They really rise to that. So that's a big part of it. The other side is I have a casual style. I always tell people I don't come through the front door. I come through the garage. I like to enter that. I like to come in the side door because that's just my personal way of doing things. I'm not very formal. And so I try to, that's the atmosphere that is created in our organization. Is we try to, we don't assume everyone's going to be close friends, but we do try to create opportunities to build friendships beyond our work. And I think a lot of times that's the fabric that holds us together is these values, the personal side of it. We never say it's just business, it's not personal.
Yes.
We always say, oh yeah, we are a community on a mission. And so we're looking for people that are aligned with that. Oftentimes I would rather take people that are still growing their skills, but that demonstrate good value and good ethics. One of the things that recently we've been talking about is how do you find that teachability or that internal engine that's hard to figure out in an interview. And one of the things we've been talking about is, hey, when you're talking and you're looking for new staff, ask them about their hobbies. Because some hobbies really demonstrate internal value. So for instance, do you play an instrument? Anybody that plays an instrument, whether it's an ndugu, right? Maybe you've mastered the ndugu, or you've learned drumming at a high level, or piano, or whatever the instrument is. That takes discipline and focus. Like that really requires something that isn't external. That's internal. And so if someone has perfected a hobby that really requires that discipline, that tells me something about the person. And so we look for these clues and indicators because a CV only goes so far.
Yep, you're absolutely right, James. I'm here laughing and saying, oh my, if I come to an interview at your organization, I'll fail. Jackson, what's your hobby? I play soccer.
But here's the thing. So again, what if I said, tell me about your hobbies, and you said I play soccer, and I'd be like, wow, you're like me. You're a Mosaic, right? We've got a little gray in our beard. Yes. And I'm like, wow, that requires more from a person of our age. We have to stay in shape. We have to stay committed. You've prioritized that, even in the midst of you're a person of balance. That tells me you're a person of teamwork, right? You're choosing to do something that's with other people.
Yes.
So again, I could learn so much just from the fact that you tell me that you consistently play football every week.
The very first, I think, third episode or second episode, I talked about interviewing skills. A friend of mine in Uganda said to me, we people see you CEOs there. We don't know what to prepare when we are coming to an interview. We don't even know how to dress when we are coming to an interview. And I did a whole episode. Listeners, if you've not listened, you need to go back. It might be second or third episode on interviewing skills. How you come traditional questions. And this James, the CEO, now is telling you he's hiring in USA and in Uganda. Go on Uganda Water Project. Look for those jobs. And he's telling you, leave alone all these traditional questions. Tell me about yourself. Where did you go to school? Yeah. I was the head prefect. I did this. I did this. We've had that over and over and over. We want to know you as a person so we can see if your values are going to align with the values of team members. We want to trust you so when we send you on a motorcycle to deliver packages of water to the Ministry of Health, you don't end up in Chiseka Market and sell them there. And we can tell by sitting with you and asking you on your hobbies, your commitments, how you come dressed. No longer you have to wear a tie and a suit and show up. Read the websites and materials about the organization. If you are watching this, I am in my office at the United States in Michigan, wearing my sweat and shirt. James is wearing casual shirt. We are both CEOs. You've seen Google culture. You've seen Netflix culture. Yes, you've seen Wall Street Bank. If you're going to be in banking and it requires you to wear a tie, wear a tie. If you look it up and find out people come in sandals, and don't be the only one wearing a tie when everyone is in sandals. So it's all in preparation, understand what you're going for. Community on a mission is a good retweetable moment, James. I know we get so many of these tweets. Now I have young people who tell me, actually, after we do these episodes, they go and pull out some pieces. They call them shorts.
Yeah, shorts.
So like YouTube shorts, and then they repost those. Surround yourself with young people who know the technology, and I know Uganda Water does an amazing job on social media. Address that aspect of your work.
Social media?
Your social media is fantastic. I've told Nyaka staff members, and I've told Nyaka staff members to go look specifically on when you did 5K runs before the pandemic, and during the pandemic, we killed it. I took those shots to Uganda and ran. We killed it as an organization. People don't realize the power on social media, the power of word. A CEO out of New York, who has all the money they need, wants to see their name on a leaderboard on a 5K run for Waterfall.
That's right.
How do you inspire them to use social media and make a change? You also had talked about cryptocurrency, but I don't think we'll talk about cryptocurrency today, given where it is going right now.
No.
But
not today.
The Uganda Water Project raised a lot of money, sold some of it, and made good donations. People were starting to donate crypto. Social media, then once we are done with this aspect of that question, I don't want to take the entire day. I know you're a man. I will ask you to do a shameless plug.
Yep.
Yeah, and then we can conclude this conversation. We can always do another one, but Party Hall, we missed having a three-way conversation, but like I promised, I keep my promises. James is here sharing with our audience, encouraging people to go on a mission, a community mission to change lives around the world, not just using one lens, but looking at human beings as created equally by God and deserve to have the basic needs to survive, grow businesses in their communities.
So you said, social media is a good thing to follow up by leadership style, because a big part of how we use social media is we say, how can we pull people close to the organization, but more importantly, close to one another and close to the work. And social media is such a powerful tool to build a direct bridge between the general public who's on social media, your community, and the work we're doing in Uganda. 7,000 miles from where I'm sitting here and Uganda. And so social media allows us to pull people close to Uganda, to the water crisis, and then also to one another. One of the things we recognize is when you connect with someone on social media, as an organization, you have people getting involved, you have the ability to validate and celebrate their steps. And here's the thing, that doesn't just impact the person you're tagging or messaging or posting about. The whole audience sees that, and that's a representative experience. When one corporate sponsor commits to an event and you talk about them and you celebrate them, every other potential corporate sponsor sees that and goes, wow, they really care about this relationship. Exactly. When we have a volunteer and we celebrate that volunteer, or we just learn from that volunteer or just talk about what they're doing, other potential volunteers or active volunteers see that and go, hey, this organization cares about me. When we highlight a story in Uganda, a need in Uganda, it is the literal impact and also the representative impact. And so we really are focused on how we pull people close and we really celebrate those relationships and then also we take the perspective to go, hey, who is the primary face and voice on our social media presence? And we want to make sure that we're not underrepresenting our professional Ugandan staff, the communities we serve, the partners on the ground. We really want to make sure that like, this is not, I don't want my face to be the face of the work. We really try to make sure that's balanced. So those are a few things as we approach our social media that we really, that goes into the prioritization of that. And it really is such a gift. I mean, the more this develops, the easier it is to really engage people, and they can understand with technology, like they can make a donation. And this is going to happen. So we're just a couple of days away from a great event that we're going to do with some local bands.
Yes.
And with technology, we have a video for that event from our staff in Uganda. We're going to share. We're going to show GPS coordinates. We're going to go live on social media. And then the great thing is, once we do the work in the next month or two, we're going to send people links to the pictures of what they were able to do. There's all these things that give us such short connections that people can actually feel that they are making a difference in Uganda.
Exactly. So the reason I'm smiling right now, James, I'm here going. So now at this point, ladies and gentlemen, we have to thank Google for YouTube, thank Zuckerberg and Facebook, thank Elon Musk on Twitter for providing us a platform. And I mean, look what WhatsApp has done for us. I mean, people use these things to watch football, to watch whatever, Kim Kardashian, to follow what Kanye West is paying in child support, to watch what Beyonce is releasing. But for those of us who are in social impact, I'm going to Harvard next year, and that's one of the things I'm addressing. Have huge donors who have so much money, and they keep going on capacity building and this, and I keep telling them, somebody needs to create a social impact, like global giving. Look at global giving, powerhouse, more than 6,000 organizations listed on one space. Ukraine refugees can receive funding from a donor. The donor here gets a tax reduction and money gets there. We have utilized social media. You and I know the power of long distance management. You have, like you said earlier, you trust your people, you let them spend, you let them fundraise. We have such a huge trust in the people we work with. Jennifer Nanta, our country director in Uganda, did an episode of her, somebody can look it up, has autonomy. Yes, books are audited. Yes, we follow every accounting principle. But I'm not going to be going, let me know before you buy the next bike, or this, or before you pay salaries. She has accountants that work with them. The trust of letting people work. But this social media can be used as a tool, which you have utilized very, very well, my brother, and I thank you for that. And I want the body to know that we notice this, and you stand in a category of your own. Uganda Water Project social media updates, I go there to read, to follow, to be inspired. You mix both volunteers and work on the ground. You celebrate staff members. You are always on it. You are posting on Facebook. Thank you, Facebook. Where else would we store all those pictures and videos without being charged? And then people say, oh, but they sell your your information. Your bank sells your information while you are paying them too. So, but can you store all those videos on your bank account, on your bank website? No, you need a password to even go behind. So social media, I know they are, our friend out of California, Christy TJK, wrote a book on the influences of technology also, the other side of, yes, they are. But for me to be able to connect with my staff member via WhatsApp, who is in the village being rained on right now, I would not be able
Right.
to afford to pay for it. So social media does amazing work. But you also said something I want: validate and celebrate. This is something I've been challenging donors to realize. Validate the people you support and celebrate them. So you are on a partnership relationship. I donate, you donate. We both know when you write that check to the organization we have, we are happy we did it. So we cannot start looking at them to be down here and we are up here. The power dynamics in philanthropy need to be addressed. Another conversation for another day. But for now, I want to thank you for sparing time. And as we conclude this, the other day I will tell you I was interviewing a young man who started a home in Nigeria called Adachi Home in honor of his mother. For the first time on one-on-one with TJK when we were closing, he asked me if he could say a prayer. So we will do that. We are going to start something else. So those of you of faith who are comfortable with praying, we will do it. For those of you who are not comfortable, after the interview, you can click out. We hope we'll be somebody after that. But tell us, do your shameless plug.
My shameless plug.
What do you like the people to know? People have plugged books, plugged websites, plugged whatever. Shameless plug for you, and I will emphasize another one when we are done telling Nicholas where to go on Friday.
That's right. The shameless plug is that the Ugandan Water Project has literally hundreds of communities who we have already pre-site assessed that are waiting for water. And the only thing that stands between them and that solution, that catalyst, is donors coming alongside to fund that work. And so we are ready right now. And that is something we've committed to from the beginning, to being ready right now. If this kind of work, if the power of safe water to catalyze change resonates with you, if our approach, high trust, mutual submission, these kinds of things of that today, tomorrow, forever, if that captures your attention, let's start a conversation. And you can go to ugandanwaterproject.com and you can learn more, you can reach out, and you can donate. And one of the crazy things that I do when I'm on these kinds of interviews is I say, hey, shoot me a text. My number is 585-752-5396. That's my cell number. You can text me. We're about transparency and connection. So that's my shameless plug. We love working with people. We love inviting them to fall in love with the culture and communities that we serve. And that's what I'd love to see people take action on.
Wonderful. It's so amazing. And I'm going to say it again. We are brothers because our minds work the same way. When Penguin published my book, A School for My Village, I put there my cell phone number. The producer said, are you sure? If you read that book to this day, in the back, my cell phone number is there and anybody can reach me. I've not changed the same number many years. James Harrington has just shared his number. You can reach him. And this is a giving season, ladies and gentlemen. Giving has just passed, but we are staying thankful. People have decorated their houses with Christmas decorations right now, which means the celebration began on Thanksgiving and it's going to go through the birth of Christ on Christmas into the new year. There's no better way to celebrate Jesus, to celebrate this season than making a difference in somebody else's life. You do not need another sweater. You do not need another paper box with different colors. Neither do you need a new computer or a new iPhone. I'm speaking to our brothers and sisters in Northern America, in everywhere in Uganda now. You can use your card, bank card, to make a donation. Many people tend to think when we say donations, we are asking people in Western countries. I have an outstanding staff member, James. Every time we run a campaign, he takes out his bank card and makes a donation.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah.
The producer told me, don't clap your hands when you are recording, Jackson. Here we go to you, Paul, who continues to lead by example, but also to show all of us that there are more blessings in giving than receiving. That's a
Yeah.
Bible verse. Paul is blessed. We did New York Marathon. He went online, made his donation. We were running another campaign some years ago, and I'm going, from Nyaka Village. Boom. He used his bank. Stop just receiving over and over
Yeah.
and over and over and refusing to give and denying yourself blessings. When I built a church in the community, one guy came to me and said, how do you have all this money to build a church? I said, I don't. But you know how many blessings I get by putting this building so 500 people can worship? The church they couldn't build, while I'm keeping 401k here at Michigan State. I took my money out when I left. I built a home for my mother. I built a home for my community church. So go on Uganda Water Project. Do give this holiday, and a few weeks later, I will ask James how many donations we got out of the result of this interview being watched. My brother, I love you. Thank you for sparing time. Our brother,
absolutely,
Laddie, we didn't get to hear from him, but he will watch this in its entirety, and soon we'll get to
he will.
celebrate. Continue to do amazing work you do. Our board members, thank you for the work you do. Uganda people, professionals and semi-professionals who receive this work, continue to embrace it and do service above self, because we are created to change other people's lives, not just ourselves. Again, share, subscribe. Thank you, James. God bless you. And now you get to say a prayer.
Yeah. Well, Lord, we do. We just thank you for a chance to come together and add value to others, Lord. If there's one way in which my faith takes the most meaning, it's in service to other people, love in service. And Lord, help us to really embrace that as the expression of faith in this world, serving others. And pray, especially in this season, this is the season of Christmas, the season of the Word made flesh, the incarnation, Lord, that you would help us to take these words of love and make them tangible in the lives around us, in the way that we spend time, the way that we help solve problems, just the presence we have in others' lives. That we would celebrate Christmas in that new and powerful way. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.